Welcome everyone to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim. It's a lovely day in Sonoma Valley, and it's always a lovely day in Sonoma Valley. But today, everybody, I have a very special guest star. And I know I say that every time, but this time I mean it. This time, very special guest star, Laura Schermeister.
Hi, everybody.
Ta-da-ta-da.
I'm Laura Schermeister.
That was good. That was a good job. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
And well, thanks for coming in. And we're going to talk all sorts of stuff about Glen Ellen and wine and winemaking and secrets of a tiny winery or not.
I am going to share one secret.
Just okay,
and that's it.
We're going to call it one secret of a tiny winery. We're going to talk about what's happening in Sonoma Valley. And then you brought some wine in too, so we'll probably do some wine tasting.
I brought a lot of wine in.
Okay. And also we're going to talk about haunted Glen Ellen. You promised that there's a ghost or something we're going to talk about.
There is a ghost, and I'm not the only one who believes this. Many people have experienced it.
There's multiple instances of a ghost that is in Glen Ellen. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, let me go into that. We're taping this right before Halloween. We're moving into November. Great time in Sonoma Valley. Harvest is done. I think you guys are done with harvest, right?
We are done with harvest. All of our wines have finished fermenting.
Okay.
So they're all going into barrel now, and everything's been pressed. We're very happy. Whew. Just in time for our grand reopening, November 3rd.
Okay, so November 3rd. So your tasting room has been shut.
Yes.
And you and your husband run this winery, and you decided we're just going to go backpacking or something crazy when you sold out of wine.
Yeah, so I should start by saying, I introduced myself, Laura Schermeister. I own Schermeister Winery with my husband, Rob, who is the winemaker.
You know what's cool is your last name is the same name as the winery. What are the odds of that happening?
I know. Well, I told my husband, so my maiden name is Erickson.
Oh, okay.
Which is already difficult enough for most telemarketers to get right when they call.
Okay, right.
And when Rob proposed to me, everyone's like, oh, are you going to change your last name? And I said, yes. But I'm going to go from Erickson to Schermeister, which is like a really big jump from difficult to more difficult.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what, babe, I love you so much, but the only reason why I'm changing my last name from Erickson to Schermeister is because you own a winery. So I want to be.
So he had the winery. He had the labeled existence.
He did.
But it was like Rob himself with a dog and all sad just because.
He didn't have a dog. No, that was all my doing.
You brought the dog. Okay.
I heavily insisted / gave an ultimatum.
Oh, wow.
That a dog needed to be in our life. And
geez.
It took him about a year to like our dog, but now he loves him. So
it's crucial. Well, okay, let's go to that. You guys have a tasting room.
We do.
Where's that located, and how's the dog playing to that?
Yeah, so our tasting room is our haunted tasting room.
Haunted tasting room. Yeah. Sorry, but that's good. That's good sound effects.
I'm doing because it's Halloween.
And you're saving me money on buying sound effects. Thank you.
I have a lot more where that came from. So our haunted tasting room, in a good way, is at Jack London Village in Glen Ellen. And Jack London Village is actually what most people don't know. It's Glen Ellen's oldest building. So it's from the mid-1800s, and there's all kinds of really interesting history there. Mm-hmm. The cool thing about the building is that it's been a lot of things. It started off as a mill, logging mill. There's a creek that's right behind it. And across the creek, you can actually see people hiking on the trail in the Sonoma Valley Regional Park. Okay. But what a lot of people also don't know is that trail used to be a railroad. And they would bring the trains in, and there used to be a bridge that spanned the creek. Okay. And they would import and export wood from the mill. Got it. On those trains. And
the mill is obviously run by the creek at the time. Water power is probably the big thing.
Exactly.
And was the wood going down to San Francisco for building just different places?
Yeah, it was just a major kind of export location.
Before grapes, lumber.
Mill. And then it was a winery at one point. There's some really cool old cement kind of cisterns in there that used to hold the wine, the vats that are kind of built into the building. The building is really cool, and there are all kinds of neat little doorways on the inside that go to all these really cool rooms.
Wait, connecting the different...
Yes.
Because so essentially, just so people get the image, it's on the side of the creek and then the road, Arnold Drive.
And it looks like a giant barn.
It looks like an enormous wood barn.
Yeah.
And there's different little... it's been subdivided.
Yes.
With different... Like Songbird Parlor is there.
Yes.
Lauren is a cook, and she has an event venue space there, and you can do cocktails and things like that.
Yep.
There's a restaurant there.
Two restaurants.
The Mill and Yeti. The chocolate place. Chocolate place still there?
Wine Country Chocolates has been there a long time. 707 Candle Company.
Oh, right.
Reese owns and operates that. Okay. And then Passaggio Wines just opened.
They just moved there, right? Yeah.
They're doing more of a wine bar thing. They have tasting flights, but they're also doing wines by the glass and bottle. And of course, we've been there now for 4 years this December.
Okay.
And I love the Village because it's totally a community of artisans. It's all of these different shops are owned and operated by people who actually make the product that they're sharing.
Right.
They're creative.
Like the chocolate, the candles.
The
chef
wines.
is right there.
Yes, and Cindy and then also Carol are running that. So women-led and owned, woman winemaker, which is really exciting. So Cindy is going to be in the tasting room off and on. And we're just really excited that the Village feels so right.
Right.
It's been through a lot of transition. Our tasting room actually used to be a recording studio.
Right, like for what? Like
for musicians.
Banjo? For musicians.
For bands.
Like what kind of band would play there?
So Norton Buffalo has recorded there before.
Okay.
Janis Joplin is rumored, but
really, maybe she's the ghost that haunts you.
No, it's not
Janis.
It's not.
It's Janis Joplin. No, seriously.
There's not enough screaming reported.
So come on. Yeah, it's Janis Joplin. Come on. Take another. So, okay, who else? That's great.
Metallica. One of the original members of Metallica. And when Rob and I were looking for tasting room space, we looked everywhere. We're super tiny, and we are not independently wealthy, which is what I kind of want to bring to our story today. We are totally different from 99.9% of wineries and owners out there.
Your own Bentley here? Is that what you're telling me?
It's an entry-level BMW. That's all I'm going to say.
And you got dropped off. You're like, I know you took the Sonoma shuttle bus here, well done.
I actually took an Uber X.
Oh, good job.
Exactly. I've upgraded. So,
by the way, anyone listening, do not rely on an Uber in Sonoma Valley. They work on your way out, but you'll never come back.
You will be waiting for 1 hour and 53 minutes.
And you're wondering, why don't you have any cell service? It's because you don't.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're not a big winery, and you're not like a you don't have a big castle. You don't have a faux chateau.
No.
You don't have a Spanish hacienda.
Maybe one day.
One day? Okay.
That we actually are saving for a little place in my favorite wine region of Spain called Priorat, but that's for a whole nother day.
Okay, right.
We're not going to get into that.
There. So you're a small winery. When you say small winery, how much wine do you guys make? Or what makes you a small winery?
So we make 1,000 cases of wine a year now. And that was a huge goal for us for a really long time. So I kind of want to backtrack very quickly and kind of talk about how we started.
Sure.
When Rob was a wee thing, we're both 40 now. We just turned 40.
Oh, good.
Which is really
good. You guys are young. You guys are young.
So we're actually now shooting for the top 50 over 50
Got
list,
it. Good. I like that.
So we have 10 years to work on that.
Okay, good.
But when Rob was 20, 21, he started getting really into wine, but he was studying biochemistry in college. In University of Idaho. And he did end up getting into wine after a really awesome experience in Europe and tasting Rieslings and all these Italian wines, and came back and added viticulture and enology to his
So he was still in
degree.
college?
He was still in college, yeah.
Okay.
Just at the end of his college career. Okay. And I think he envisioned maybe either working in animal husbandry, agriculture. I jokingly tell people like hybridizing the next potato strain or something.
You laugh, but there's a lot of French fries sold every year.
I know. And I think he didn't really know that wine was a career.
Okay.
But he ended up going to a job fair and he saw Chateau Saint Michel there. And he walked up to them and he's like, hey, I don't really have any wine experience yet. And they're like, oh, we're actually looking for someone with biochem as a degree. And he said, well, I have that.
Wait, was he about to learn what a cellar rat was? They're like, we're looking for someone to say, like, run these hoses into this pump for 12 hours a day.
Here's a pressure washer.
Exactly.
Here's a pressure washer and a nest of yellow jackets.
There you go. Go to town.
Have fun. Right.
Biochem.
Right.
So he got hired by Chateau Saint Michel.
He did.
They're a Washington state-based winery. Okay.
Yes, but he got, I think it was right place at the right time too, based on his experience. He actually was working for their higher tier brands.
Okay.
and he was doing viticulture and like vineyard management.
Okay, wow.
So he was working in Walla Walla, Red Mountain, some of the more kind of revered areas. Of course, Washington is growing all the time.
Right.
But it definitely has its really niche, high-end
known spots.
areas.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And that's where he got his start, and he loved it. Huh. He got E. coli poisoning once when he was working on a cattle farm, and I think after that he was ready for a career change, and he almost died.
Well, you don't lick the cow, you know that, right? That's a rule. Don't lick the cow.
I'm just gonna put it all out there because it's you, Tim, and I'm in a safe space. And I feel very comfortable around you. And
was he doing something involving the reproduction of cows?
I have no filter.
Okay.
So to my husband, Rob,
we apologize.
Robert Wayne Schermeister, I love you. So Rob was doing a preg check on a cow.
Yep. Oh yeah. Up to the elbow. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He did not think that was part of the description either. And basically, let's just say it was a golden brown shower.
Oh my God.
And the cow just unleashed.
That's why you never open your mouth in a dairy in the spring.
I think it went into his
everywhere.
eyes and up his nose. It was everywhere. And I feel in that moment, I didn't know him then, but I can imagine his frozen state of shock and horror. And maybe some tears started welling up a little bit.
It was at that moment Rob was reconsidering his career choice.
In that moment, I knew that I did not want to work in livestock.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
He was doing E. coli research and he learned a lot.
Oh, gosh.
He basically got himself to the hospital.
Okay.
He didn't, I think
wise choice.
Some time had passed, but the doctor said if he would have waited till the next day, he most likely would have died.
Jeez.
He doesn't have any recollection of getting to the hospital. His parents had to come to see him.
Oh my God! Where was he living? Was this back in Idaho?
This was in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh yeah, Moscow, Idaho. Okay.
Yeah, most people don't know where that is.
That's where a friend of mine went to college in Washington, at Eastern Washington. Yeah, that was the big town to go. Yeah,
he did,
pizza.
And he did his viticulture and enology. After that incident, he took a summer and he went to Europe. And that's when he discovered wine, and he thought, you know what?
100% better than getting crapped on by a cow.
Let's do that. 100%.
So fast forward, Rob's learning how to make wine.
Yeah.
He works at Chateau Ste. Michelle, or that company.
Yeah.
And you guys meet each other somehow. Did you guys meet in the wine business?
We kind of did. So Rob, he did a year or 2 years working for Chateau Ste. Michelle, and then he just decided straight away that he wanted to learn how to make the absolute best wine he possibly could.
Right.
So he wanted to work for the best small producers that he could get in touch with.
Okay.
That led to a year at Paulmeyer working with Aaron Green, alongside Aaron Green as an associate winemaker.
Okay.
And then after that, he went to Marc Aubert. So he got in touch with Marc Aubert, interviewed for that position, and was Aubert's assistant winemaker for about 3 years.
Okay.
And that is where, working with Aubert and Paulmeyer, he learned native fermentation. And that is...
Can you explain what that is?
Yes. Okay. I love talking. Don't let me talk about this too long, though, because...
Well, we already covered cow poop, so let's go into
let's go with the good stuff now.
Exactly.
I wanted to say the S word, but I stopped myself.
Yeah. All right, so native fermentation. Explain that to me.
So native fermentation is how we make our wine. And you can't have wine without fermentation.
Okay.
And native fermentation is also a process that sets us apart from 9 out of 10 winemakers.
Okay.
It is really suited best to small production. So you're talking up to 5,000 cases a year. It is extremely volatile. It is unpredictable. Sometimes it's really hard to tell if your fermentation is going to finish, meaning the yeast will start eating the sugars in the grapes that you harvest and convert all of it to alcohol to end up with a totally dry wine.
Okay.
So you're talking super basics of winemaking. 9 times out of 10, a winemaker is going to harvest fruit from a vineyard.
Okay, I got a bunch of grapes.
Right. You've got your overalls on.
you got your overalls, okay.
Overalls on. And maybe like your vineyard hat, and definitely your Chelsea boots.
Right, yep.
Because that's the wine industry.
As you do, of course.
Fleece jacket. And you bring your fruit into the winery and you either go straight to press.
Okay, so you squish it with a...
Squish it.
It's not Italian girls. We covered this before. It's an actual press machine.
It's an actual press. It's kind of shaped like a barrel. And that's so for, let's say, Chardonnay, you want to press the juice off the skins right away. And there are many other ways to make wine. I'm just giving you an example.
Let's go to like the basics, the WikiHow version.
Yeah, we're just keeping it simple.
Okay.
So you press the juice off of the skins.
Juice comes down. It's into a container
and then you want to start fermentation.
And so what do? You say some magical incantations and it ferments?
Some wineries do that. That's biodynamic.
We'll talk about the...
We're actually not going to talk about biodynamic.
That's a whole other ball of wax.
If you want to talk about biodynamic winemaking, you should definitely get in touch with Benziger.
Right. They'll do the incantations. All right, so I got my juice. Somehow I need to turn this grape juice into wine.
Yes.
What do I do?
So 9 times out of 10, a winemaker is going to inoculate that juice with a lab-created yeast. And basically, as a winemaker, you get a catalog, and the catalog has all different types of yeast in it. And you narrow down the yeast you want by the varietal of wine you're making and some of the characteristics you're looking for. Some of the flavor profiles you want.
Wait, so you don't just open a thing of Fleischmann's yeast and dump it on top of the juice. This is like that's what I know of as
if only it
Red Star yeast, Fleischmann's. I was like,
if only.
So you have a special yeast that normally, but inoculate. What is that? Does that just mean mix it up or something?
Means yes, like you dissolve the yeast. Oh my God, I hope I'm not a winemaker. First of all,
right? No, I know that. But so somehow you introduce the yeast into the juice.
Introduce the yeast,
and the yeast is supposed to like go, whoa, sugar.
The yeast is like, oh my God, I'm so hungry.
Let's eat that.
I'm hungry, and if I don't have enough sugar, I am going to die.
And they eat the sugar.
Basically, I mean, every American ever.
With Halloween.
With Halloween.
So the yeast eats the sugar, and I'm understanding craps out alcohol.
It does. It poops it right out, but thank God it's much cleaner than a cow pooping.
You can't get equal.
Oh my God, Sonoma, I am so sorry.
I love this. I love this.
I tell people Rob and I are as unfiltered as our wines.
Oh, touche. So this is the alimentary canal of the yeast.
Yeah.
We're eating the sugars, alcohol's coming out.
Yeah.
But it sounds like when you say natural yeast, do you guys have like chakras and essential oils, and you're like, we're natural, or do you just not introduce yeast? Like it just happens?
No. Yeast is introduced in a few ways. And another thing I also want to talk about is full transparency. In everything we do. A philosophy that's really important to Rob and myself in our business and loving what we do is being completely open and honest about winemaking and how we do it. There are a few secrets that we have that we don't share, but we're transparent about how the wines are made and also about how other people are doing it because we're doing what works for us, but other winemakers out there are always going to do something differently based on their education and their experience, their palate.
Their product, maybe like the wine, the grapes they have.
Exactly, where their grapes are coming from, how much they're making.
Right.
We have guests in our tasting room all the time that shyly kind of guiltily laugh and giggle and say, I'm so sorry, I drink grocery store wine on a normal basis. And I just want to hug them and say, you are not going to be judged here.
Right.
That is fine. And those are those mass-produced wines. And using these lab-created yeasts, basically the huge benefit to those is it ensures that your fermentation will go and that it will finish in a timely manner.
And it's constancy of product, right? Like
yes.
This year's Chardonnay will taste like last year's Chardonnay.
Yes.
So let's say you owned a large winery that had a famous Sonoma County Chardonnay with 2 names that's hyphenated. And it's be the same product.
I know exactly which one
It'll
you're
be the same
about.
product because that's what they want. They want consistency and they want to be right at the eye level in the store, and not saying they pay for that honor, but it's right there. And so for that kind of winery.
Your vagueness is not vague enough.
I'll just wait for that letter from that lawyer. No, so that's one example of, and that is for a lot of people, and it's good wine for what they want for the price point. But what I'm hearing from you, what I'm inferring, is that your experience, it's slightly more volatile with the native yeast, which you're not introducing lab yeast. You're probably using yeast from the air or...
from 2 places, actually.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that like, we love everybody.
Right.
We love what everyone's doing.
We love them all equally.
We love them all equally, which is also why I love Sonoma, because there's this competitiveness in every industry. And wine, there's so much wine out there. And it's so overwhelming. And Rob and I chose Sonoma because there's room for everyone, and it's a community and not a competition. So that's something that we're also really passionate about sharing, because it speaks to our overall philosophy about life.
Right.
So there's winemaking, and then there's kind of how you walk into your life every day.
Right.
And then there's how you walk into your business. And these are all kind of different things. And we just like to tell people that we respect all realm. Anyway, that's my disclaimer.
Okay, got it.
So, but with native fermentation, now the question is, well, why?
Right.
Why would you do native fermentation if it's so volatile? So we're doing 1,000 cases a year. Rob actually started in 2012 with his first vintage at 120 cases.
Okay.
We've grown by about 100 cases a year. So super slow. We both had full-time jobs. We quit those. Rob quit his full-time winery job back in 2016.
Okay.
And I left mine in 2017. He was working at a winery full-time, helping a bunch of other wineries make their wines.
Right.
And I was designing bicycles in Napa.
Wait, designing bicycles?
Yes. I've been a designer my whole career.
Wait, you were actually designing like on CAD and stuff like that? Or designing like the...
graphics, paint effects, logos.
Really?
If you go on to, say, like Academy Sports and you're looking for your first mountain bike, chances are I designed one of those bikes. Like the color
scheme and stuff like that.
Yes, and all the graphics that go on the bike.
Cool.
I did some frame concepting, but that's more product design.
And it's kind of like engineering and stuff like that.
And we had all of our own engineers.
Yeah, and you're like a design, like what I've seen is you're a visual designer.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Which is how Rob and I, that's how Rob and I met. So if you haven't heard our story before, I know a lot of people have, but I always love telling it again.
Give us the headline.
Let me tell you.
Go.
It used to take me an hour, and now I think it takes me about a minute and a half.
Go.
So... I was a designer my whole career.
Okay.
And my dream when I was little was to be an architect.
Okay.
And I ended up doing visual design, branding, logos. I was doing website design. I did architectural design.
Okay.
For a year, I designed shipping container buildings, which was so hard. And
buildings made out of shipping containers?
Buildings made out of shipping containers.
Oh, that's cool.
Live event activations where the container unfolds and you have these branded product experiences.
I've seen those. When the Super Bowl was in San Francisco, they had some of those,
Yeah, so it was really fun. It was super challenging. I did it for a year, and the projects got too big, and they needed a real architect.
Okay.
So I left, and that's actually the job that I left to come out to Napa to learn how to make wine. I've always loved wine. It's always been in my family's kind of culture. It's always been on the table. I've always been really curious about it. And I just said, I'm really burned out from design. I'm going to take a 2-month break. I'm going to go do a harvest. I got a harvest job in September 2013.
Okay.
And I said, after that, I'm going to do this harvest and then figure out the rest of my life after that. Because I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, it's good.
But the dream was actually to keep designing as a freelancer and have my own 2-acre vineyard with a boutique winery.
2 acres is pretty small.
It is very tiny.
But for one person or two people,
for one,
that's fairly...
I thought it was going to be just me.
Okay, right.
I just love wine so much, but I also love design.
Wait, did you walk into the tasting room with like some sketches under your arm and there was Rob? Is this what's going to happen?
No. Rob came to me, it was great. I was at a point in my life where I'd been single for a long time.
Okay.
Like 8 years.
Okay.
Dating here and there, but I was ready to meet someone.
Right.
But at a certain point, I kind of just decided, screw this, dating sucks. And I did the online thing, which didn't work for me.
Okay.
And I gave up the idea, which is, I think, when it happens.
This is when every rom-com, by the way,
literally.
When the heroine's like, forget it, I'm done with romance.
Yeah, I'm
going to go live on a farm.
Be a spinster for the rest of my life. Well, that was my plan. Right. I was looking at these farm
You're
properties.
wearing like long black dresses and writing poetry and muumuus. Okay, good.
Yeah, and a beret.
Good.
Good. And red shiny boots.
Yes, good. You were leaning into it, as they say.
Lots of scarves.
Yes, good. Lots of scarves. Dramatic scarves.
And really big sunglasses. Anyway, so But 2 months.
No, go ahead.
So 2 months at the winery kind of turned into longer than that. It kind of kept extending week by week and then month by month.
Right.
I pet sat for people. I house sat. And then people here started finding out that I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
And I started taking on little freelance projects because I had a place to stay at the time. And I had my computer with me.
Okay.
And I had an internet connection.
Right.
And so I just designed, and I had some clients back on the East Coast in Charlotte that I'd kind of kept with me.
Okay.
So I did some work for them from here, from California. And I guess it was about 7 months in, and I was feeling pretty done. I was completely broke. I had no money. And Napa is a really horrible place to be when you don't have any money.
It's not inexpensive place to live.
No. And I think you imagine, I'm going to go wine tasting, and I'm going to go on picnics, and I'm going to go to outdoor shows. And I'm going to have cafe lights in my life every single day.
This is basically the tourism brochure. Correct. Yes. None of this is made up. This is all...
Ed Sheeran is definitely in the background.
All the time.
Yeah.
He follows you around and plays.
I know.
It's weird.
That was this vision for my life that I had. Okay. But finally, I was kind of a couple weeks away from packing up and heading back east. And I got one email from a guy who said, hey, I got your name through a mutual friend through wine. I need a website. And that was my husband. So
he needed a website.
He needed a website.
For his winery.
Yes. And he had this was 2014.
Was it called Schermeister Winery back then?
It was actually called Schermeister Cellars.
Okay.
And from the beginning, when he hired me to design his website.
Were you offering advice? I have a feeling, hold on. I know you're a person that's really reluctant to offer advice.
Oh, the most reluctant.
So,
how can I help you turn your business around?
How long did it take you to tell, Rob, this is a dumb name. Let's put winery after it. Because one, you don't have a cellar. Two, it's not plural.
It's not.
And three, we don't know what to do.
He did have a cellar. It was under his house that he was renting a room.
We call that a crawl space in California.
It was. Yeah. He was renting a bedroom in a little, it was like a flop house in Napa because he was saving money.
That's smart.
He is this small town boy from Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Just a small town boy from Idaho Falls.
And I'm a big city girl. I was living in Charlotte in the city and
Charlotte, Carolina, Charlotte?
Yes, North.
I always mix them up. One is banking and the other one's NASCAR, right?
Okay, North
one's
Carolina.
Like Palmetto State and one's like the other state.
North Carolina, good drivers. Mountains. South Carolina, bad drivers.
Oh, that's it? That's the decision? Okay. Very good. Thank you. So I apologize to both Carolinas.
I know. I'm sorry. All right,
so you're from North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay.
Born in California.
That's fine too. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
It's very important.
Where were you
to
born?
That in Long Beach.
Okay.
I have one more tattoo removal session on my arm
I was
left.
going to ask you, Long Beach. You must have tons of tattoos.
I had an LBC tattoo on my right arm for the longest time.
Because you used to watch that Choppers show. That guy that was into motorcycles is from Long Beach.
This is like Tupac era.
Yeah,
Sublime.
Good for you. Look at you. For real?
It's for real. I literally had I have one session left.
Leave it on there because it could be Luther Burbank Center and you could be totally into the arts in Santa Rosa.
We have donated to the Luther Burbank Center.
So that's all you need. That's all your LBC. It's all you need. Long Beach is the Oakland of Southern California. We used to live in Oakland, and like people are like Long Beach, like it's industrial. There's a port.
It is.
People are very proud of being from there.
Similar.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I like how you claim Long Beach over North Carolina.
I didn't know that you lived in Oakland.
That's where we lived before we moved up here.
So that's where you got your street cred from.
From the 510.
I love it.
Well, I grew up in the South Bay and I lived in the East Bay, and then but I lived other places. This isn't my podcast. We're talking about you.
Anyway,
we're talking about you.
But it's my job as someone in hospitality to ask you about you.
Well, I'm already signing up for the wine club. Sign me up.
Which is literally why I can't go to the grocery store because I was in the freezer section once, and this woman and I were commiserating about how many veggie burger options there were. Too many. And then an hour later, my husband calls me and he goes, "Babe, where are you?" I'm like, "Why are you coming home?"
And you're like, "The tyranny of choice, Rob."
And I'm like, "I'm talking to Janice." But I'll be home in 5.
Yeah, exactly. And what was I here for? All right, go back to, you got this winery. Let's talk about your tasting room.
We need to get out of Tangent City.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of the wine. You brought me some bottles here.
I did. Do you want to open one?
Yeah, I'm going to show some. Okay, first of all, this one says Schermeister Pinot Noir, Petaluma Gap. Rogers Creek.
Yes, so
Vineyard.
that's our 2018. I brought that one because I wanted to open that one because it's a little bit older.
Okay.
That's also one of our sold out wines, so I brought that from our personal collection
Seriously?
to share with you.
From the crawl space.
I did. We have a room with racks now.
Now you've got, this is, by the way, did you design the label?
I did.
The S with the W, I'm going to hold my
Yes.
video there. It's
Yes.
really nice.
Thank you.
And so it's a Pinot Noir from Petaluma Gap. From people that don't know, that is not a clothing store in southern Sonoma County. Petaluma Gap is one of our newest American viticultural areas, where the wind comes in off the ocean and whips around Petaluma and comes kind of back up towards the valley. So
and it's lovely, and it keeps the grapes nice and cool and dry and happy. It is a perfect AVA for Pinot Noir.
Petaluma Gap, because
Petaluma
if you are there in the summer, it's amazing. It can be very hot in Santa Rosa north.
Yes.
And then you come over that Catati grade and go down, and you can literally see the fog coming into the gap.
The shift is incredible, and it's so beautiful.
Right.
And to see the fog rolling over Sonoma Mountain in the evening is really amazing.
And there's dairies there, so if your husband wants to go back to cattle, you can just keep your mouth shut, Rob.
We stick to milkshakes and cheese tasting. We stay out of production.
Right, stay away from that.
Yes, we're he's out of that world now.
Tell me what other, as you say, varietals do you make and that you brought? So what do we got here?
So right now, and I have to note, too, a very exciting kind of turn of events for us, which we never saw coming this soon, at least. We are now a seasonal winery. So we sell out every 3 to 6 months now. We're up to 1,000 cases of wine now, so we're about to open November 3rd. It's kind of I'm going to call it our subtle reopening, because November we're heading into a slow time.
Right.
But we have tastings available. We're about 60% allocated to all of our members, and 40%, that's what we have left to share with new guests, people who want to join our wine club. We have openings. We have a wait list for membership while we're closed. And what that means is if people definitely want to guarantee that they get our wine, they can join the membership wait list. They don't have to. When we reopen, you can come and do a wine tasting. You can join then if you want, or you can just take some bottles home if you want.
Can you 100%, if I'm like, I want to join, I don't want to wait for you to reopen, can I just join the wine club in the off season, or do I have to wait?
You can, that's the wait list.
It's a wait list, you have to wait.
When we're in our off season, I'll talk more about that in a little bit. We'll talk about the wines I brought. So Rob started pretty much just with Pinot Noir, and he made a Syrah on the side. But he didn't really see Syrah as being a huge part of our portfolio. Now it's one of our kind of...
It's funny because Syrah's coming back.
Syrah is coming back. Oh my, and we're so excited about that. And we co-ferment our Syrah with Viognier. So that is a Northern Rhone technique. A lot of wineries don't do that. See, this is the part of wine that I love. I love the educational part.
So I should say, you've got like 8 bottles. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bottles here.
And I wanted
6 bottles with different shapes and hues.
Yes.
Because this is a podcast. I have to explain what you got here.
I do have to explain the visual.
The visual medium here.
Because you're listening. So
what's the bottle closest to you that's kind of pinkish looking?
That's the pink wine.
Okay.
So that is our 2021 Oakville Napa Valley Rosé field blend. And this one is a field blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, actually.
Interesting. So it's not very common for a rosé to be made of Cab.
It's not, and Merlot. It's not common for it to be made of Cab or any fruit from Oakville, Napa Valley.
It just tends to be a high value AVA.
Yes.
And can you explain what a field blend is real quick?
Field blend means it's a blend of different varietals. So typically our field blend is going to be Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and Merlot. Sometimes we just do Cab Sauv, Cab Franc. Those are the main blends that we do in our rosé now.
Got it.
And that's from the Oakville Station Vineyard in Napa Valley, right next to Tokelon, world's famous Napa Valley region.
World famous Tokelon.
It is world famous.
When my daddy said, this is the world's best winery.
I know.
Because God touched it with God's finger.
The clouds parted and the sun rays. I have blessed you.
Every time you go over, that's how it is. And okay, so that's from nearby.
The light does do that over there.
That's nearby from Tokelon. So you have a rosé.
We have a rosé, and I'm actually going to reorder these a little bit. And the rosé, we do about 75 cases of that. That one is we offer that to members first because we have so little. All of our wines are also unfiltered. I let one member pre-purchase this rosé, and then after that I'm like, I can't manage that because by the time we open it will all be gone.
Okay.
But basically we didn't make any rosé in 2020 because of the fires, so that's ultra limited right now. But I have the rosé.
Okay, so now you got another bottle, which is, what's up here? A Chardonnay.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So I'm holding up our 2020 Chardonnay. Also important to note, none of our wines have smoke taint.
Okay.
2020 was literally the year from hell. Everything was on fire. We lost half of our production that year.
It was kind of
almost
crazy
half.
Yes, that was Kincaid.
We were contracted with our growers to do 1,100 cases. We ended up with 600. So anyone who comes in to taste our wines, rest assured, there's no smoke taint.
No smoke taint. Good.
In anything.
Okay.
And we have lab results, and we did sensory testing.
All of the above.
It's really important to note that.
Right. So Chardonnay. Well, because a lot of people don't. I mean, some of the wine that was smoke tainted moved into vinegar, and you can take wine and make it into another product if it's not good enough for drinking. Right.
We just broke our contracts with that, and the growers have crop insurance.
Okay.
It's basically act of God. Situation. I mean, we feel worse for the growers, honestly, who without them are amazing. And actually, growers don't get enough play as well.
I'm gonna get some growers on the podcast. The problem is it's been harvest season and they won't talk to me.
I have some incredible growers that I can refer you to that might want to.
They'll come out of the fields now. They're like ready to come out. What else you got here? What's this darker one? Still same kind of. So for those that can't see anything because we're on a podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, what you can do, the sloping shouldered bottles, which I think are called
those are Burgundy bottles.
Burgundy bottles are typically what you see Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in. Typically. Yes. And then the ones with the more angular shoulders are called Bordeaux bottle. And typically you see Cabernet in those and Merlot. I don't want any white wines. Sauvignon Blanc and stuff will go in there too, usually. And some of that's like tradition. Yeah. And some of it might just be what bottles you have available. There's other types, but typically on our wine country, Bordeaux and Burgundy bottles.
Yeah. Okay. People are starting to change that. We did a rosé in a Bordeaux bottle once, but it was a rosé of Cabernet Sauvignon, so that's why I
there you go.
That. So I think people now are playing around with it a little bit more. There are some other wineries that are doing really interesting bottle shapes with their rosé. Okay. We're pretty classic when it comes to that. I would say that's the one thing that we're really old school about.
Well, it also makes things easier for your bottling line and for your shipping and for ordering boxes.
It does.
You don't realize that there's a cascading effect throughout your entire production.
And the bottles are easier to hold, honestly.
They are. So, and that's okay. So go. So okay,
anyway,
you got, which one's this one right here? It's a little darker.
So we have our 2020 Pinot Noir, and this is actually not a Sonoma Valley wine. Okay. Because 2020.
Get it out of here.
I know. You know what? I'll
leave. No. So it's from. So you bought grapes or juice from someplace else. Where'd you guys get these
from? We went down to Fiddlesticks Vineyard.
Okay.
And we've worked with Fiddlesticks Vineyard before. That's in Santa Rita Hills. Okay. So Santa Barbara County.
Got it.
My husband actually flew up to Oregon to look for fruit when we were having a lot of the fire problems down here. The day before his flight, the fires up in Oregon and Washington started.
So what I'm getting is that Rob is the cause. Rob. That's what I'm seeing.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Correlation and causation.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
He definitely was like FML that year.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating, and every winemaker that year was just like
that was a bad year.
A very bad year.
I mean, it was also COVID. Just I want to.
What?
2020. What a bad year.
I have completely blocked that out of
bad
my
year.
mind.
All right, so that's from Santa Rita Hills. It's a Pinot Noir.
Hills, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, Rob went up to Oregon, did his due diligence, but ended up using our contacts to get this Fiddlesticks Vineyard.
Wait, that one has a different name on the label.
So this is our Scavenger Syrah, and this is actually a 2017.
Is it like a turkey vulture on the label?
This is a turkey vulture.
Wait, hold it up to this camera right here. So that's what people say. Turkey vulture is, turkey vulture's got a face that only the mother turkey vulture could love. But they're very large birds that you see here in Northern California.
They're majestic.
They are huge.
They're huge. They're fascinating. Yeah. They're also Rob's favorite bird.
Okay.
So I got Rob into birding because we're both big dorks and very proud of it. And I'm going to tell another story really quick.
Okay.
Rob comes home one day. This is when we lived on Mount Veeder in Napa. We live in Sonoma now, but Rob comes home one day. Keep in mind, he's a scientist.
Right. Okay. Right.
And he's also a very curious person. He's also kind of a walking Wikipedia, and I'm sorry to everyone.
Right.
But he has a wealth of information. He's very curious. He loves science. He has a very kind of scientific mindset with everything.
Right.
He comes home one day, and he runs in the house, and he's like, babe, you got to come outside. You got to see what I brought home.
Okay.
And I'm going, is that a puppy? Did you find a kitten?
We find it. Yeah, something cute.
I'll take a bunny rabbit.
Bunnies are cute.
I will rescue a squirrel.
Squirrels are good. Oh, the mouse thing. That's right.
The mouse. Yeah.
Well, keep going. So keep going. Right.
And I run outside. I'm so excited. It was an animal.
Okay.
It was not living.
Oh.
And I walk out to the back of his truck, and there is a dead turkey vulture.
Wait a minute.
That he brought home.
Love is bringing your spouse a dead turkey vulture? Did he hit it with his car?
No. He found it on the side of the road.
Rob, you're the last romantic. Sorry. He found a dead turkey vulture, threw it in the back of his pickup truck.
Yeah.
Tell me you guys stuffed this and it's currently like somewhere.
I just had what is love? Bring me a turkey. Bring me a turkey vulture.
Oh my God. Okay, so.
Which I now also. So I think technically what he did was illegal. I don't think that you're legally allowed to collect.
No, you can. Carry on. Now you can collect if it's fresh and it's a deer or something like that, you can eat it.
There's a new law.
There's a law.
I don't know if the law was in effect then, but I told him to get rid of it, and it took him about a week. But
actually, I think picking up a dead turkey vulture, which is not a protected species, I believe. There seem to be plenty of them.
Yeah.
But it's like in the interest of science.
Yeah. And we're very into science. And I worked with the Audubon Society. And
Audubon killed birds and then he painted them.
No, he didn't. I don't think he killed them.
I think he shot them.
He just painted them.
I think he shot them with a musket.
I
That's
think
why
he
all
shot
of them
them
have
with
huge
a
holes.
camera.
Wait,
cameras
were
in
the 1800s?
No, they had cameras then. I don't know.
Then it would be blurry birds.
I got a D in history and photography in college.
Doesn't matter. So you have a wine called Scavenger. It has a turkey vulture on it. And it doesn't taste like a dead turkey vulture.
It does not.
What kind of wine is it? Is it red wine?
Scavenger is our Syrah wine. And this is also our philanthropy wine. Okay. And there is a quick little story. I promise you a quick little story about this. When I first met Rob, he was really focused on Pinot Noir. Mm-hmm. It's his first love. It's finicky as hell, which is I think they're very much made for each other. Varietal to winemaker. And he also had scavenged some fruit off of a friend in 2013. And he's telling me about the Syrah. He didn't have a label for it. Mm-hmm. After I designed and finished the website for him, we decided to keep working together.
Okay.
We really liked each other a lot. We kind of became friends through the process. And then we started dating.
Nice.
And he's like, okay, I made this Syrah in 2013, which would be last year because this was 2014. And he goes, I don't really know what to do with it. I really want to focus on my Schermeister name being on the Pinot and having that be my really, my native fermented, unfiltered, unfined, all of that, the kind of higher end Pinot Noir from the vineyards he was working with. And he's like, I'm not really even a Rhone guy. I'm more of a Burgundian kind of guy when it comes to the wines I like to make. I don't know what to do. And he said, I scavenged the fruit off of a friend who had too much fruit for his Syrah harvest. And I couldn't turn it down because a winemaker cannot turn down an opportunity to, and he wants to make everything.
Okay.
And I said, babe,
this is your chance.
And I was like, because I like to take over and do, and I like to do everything.
Right.
And I love branding and design and creative ideas and storytelling. These are all things that really excite me.
Right.
And I said, let's come up with a whole new side label and we'll call it Scavenger.
Okay.
And we'll put a scavenger animal on the label.
Right.
And whenever you decide to make it again, we'll just put a different scavenger animal. It'll be kind of like rotating cast.
Yeah.
And because another thing we're very ethical about is being transparent about how we price our wine.
Okay.
We don't have to get into that now, but I said, since you pretty much didn't pay, we were trying to figure out how to price it.
Right, because he scavenged it.
He didn't really pay for the fruit.
He found the Syrah dead on the side of the road.
So he did pay for the fruit, but it was such a tiny amount.
Right.
I mean, this guy was just offloading his extra. So I said, okay, ethically, I don't think we should charge full price for this wine because you didn't pay full price for the fruit, and why don't we take this opportunity so we'll charge normal price, but we'll donate 20% of profits to a rescue or a wildlife foundation or something like that.
And that's what you do with this one.
And that's what we do. And we've done it from day one.
Do you have more than one scavenger label, or is this the first and only?
We do have one. We had the original was actually a California condor.
Okay.
We've had a turkey vulture. We've had a raven. We did Eli, our dog.
Oh, okay.
So we have our wine dog, Eli.
Because he's a scavenger?
He ate 3 pounds of brisket off of a table at a dinner party once.
Dogs are the worst.
He was not allowed back to their house.
Dogs? Oh, wait. It wasn't your house?
No, it was our friend's house.
You brought your dog.
They said he could come.
And he ate the brisket?
He ate...
No, brisket takes like 24 hours to make. You have to overnight it. Yeah.
Our friend worked all night. He stayed up all night smoking this brisket. It was his first brisket he'd ever done. Oh, dear. And it was
And your dog ate the whole thing?
He didn't eat the whole thing.
3 pounds
We went in, got our brisket. We're all in the living room, having fun, having wine, food, friendship. Everything was perfect. And then our friend was talking about how excited he was about the leftover brisket and how he was going to make brisket sandwiches the next day.
Yeah.
And then he goes into the kitchen and
is there like a scream,
looks around,
like a strangling scream of anger?
He goes, oh, thanks to whoever put the brisket away. Thank you. That was really thoughtful.
In your dog's tummy.
Eli was the one who put it away. He was pretty mad. We're still friends.
Brisket.
Yeah, hide your brisket.
Hide your brisket.
So Eli was on the label one year. We did a coyote, which is the one that we're going to be finishing out when we reopen in...
so you have a scavenger currently on your...
Yes.
And that's going to be the coyote one.
The coyote one, that one's almost sold out.
Got it. Okay.
We closed off buying the scavenger when we closed in May because we have to save enough wine to bring us into the next opening.
Season. Okay.
Those are all member priority right now.
Okay.
We'll have a little bit left, and then that will be completely gone, sold out.
Got it.
And we also don't set aside library wines right now, too. We sell everything goes.
Okay.
And then we have a mouse on the label after that because I rescued a mouse last year.
Yes.
And then after that, I'm working on that label now. I'm thinking maybe a bear.
Okay.
Or we might go back to Eli. Rob loves the raccoon mock-up I did. It's very cute.
Okay, raccoon be good.
So yeah, and we still donate. We've worked with International Bird Rescue and Dogwood Animal Rescue.
Oh, Project. Dogwood. Oh, great.
That's who we got Eli from.
We fostered dogs through Dogwood.
What?
Because my wife wants to keep them all the time.
Can you give
all the time?
Can you give Rob a 5-star review on your fostering experience? Because he won't let me keep one, but I want to foster.
No, because we fostered 3 cats, and guess what? Now I own 3 cats.
Are you serious? You failed all of them.
I have a cat. I have cats. I have like a bearded dragon. I've got a frog. I've got not me. My household does. I own no animals.
They're definitely not yours.
Let's do that. I'll tell you. I want to get to some of our events here, and then you got to help me near the end here to answer some questions.
Yes.
So, I want to talk about some events. Can we talk about that real quick? And you have a packet? Okay. Yeah. One is events coming up. It's for you.
Thank you so much.
Up at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park. It's birding. I don't know if you see this. But this is kind of cool. It's called Limited Mobility Dusk Birding for people who use mobility devices like wheelchairs and walkers and stuff.
Cool.
And so up at Sugarloaf, they do this on a certain path for wheelchair accessible excursions. And for people who are new to bird watching, and bring binoculars, and tickets are $10. Now, Sugarloaf Ridge is up there in Kenwood, which is north of Glen Ellen. You guys are big backpackers and hikers and stuff like that. So, and you're birders. So I thought,
yes, I love that. So what I would recommend for any beginning birder, there are 2 rules. Mm-hmm. The first one is very easy. Don't wear white.
Oh, why?
because it's too bright and it kind of scares the bird. Yeah,
okay.
White is not great to wear while you're birding.
Okay, good. Didn't know that. Okay.
If you wear something like a red hat, you might get a little hummingbird come and visit you.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
But I would recommend for birding to immerse yourself in the experience and blend in. Wear kind of camouflagey, neutral khakis.
That's why
and
they all wear
and stuff.
khakis and floppy hats.
And the silly dorky
they
hats.
They all look the same.
I know.
But it's probably smart,
that's
probably
what
practical.
You want.
Okay.
And the second one, which has always been really hard for me, is to be quiet.
Touche.
Very important though, and that will give you the best bird watching experience if you blend in and don't make a lot of noise, and you'll have a really great time. Also, do not use apps to call the bird you're looking for.
Wait, people use apps to call the bird?
That's like a birding ethics thing.
Wait, that's like, isn't that putting out like a salt lick to get deer?
It is.
So
it's
you
cheating.
Like, caw.
Yeah, and it kind of, depending on the noise you're playing, it riles up the birds. If you want to be the most earth conscious, bird conscious birder, if you want to be the best birder you can be.
The best birder ever.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And other than that, go out and have fun.
Didn't even know that. Yeah. All right, let's go. It's up at Sugarloaf State Park.
Awesome.
And people can find that there. Also in Glen Ellen, which is where you guys are, there's up at the Sonoma Botanical Garden, they have a new exhibit called From East to Zest. And it's all about, in this winter, it's an exhibit of citrus, which is originally from China and India, but the Sonoma Botanical Garden is going to have this really neat exhibit about all the different types of citruses, like the Buddha hand thingy, whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah.
The yuzu, the lime, the lemon, and stuff like that. Some restaurants are putting citrus on their menu or accenting their citrus dishes. This runs from November through March at the Botanical Garden. Have you been there? It's called Quarry Hill? Okay.
I have. And if you hike to the very top, there's a really beautiful lookout spot with some prayer flags up there.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful place to kind of enjoy your life.
Just kind of chill there.
And just be.
And if people can't hike, I know they also offer a golf cart for people also with mobility issues. So it's kind of cool. It's accessible and a neat spot.
Yeah, we love them.
Jack London State Park. You've been there.
All the time.
So your backyard.
It is.
They're doing a fall color photo walk mid-November, November 12th. You can go up there and learn about fall color. In California, as you mentioned, our fall comes a little later. Usually like November, December is our color season. The vines start changing pretty soon. They're starting to see a little bit of golden.
Love it.
Isn't it pretty?
It never gets old.
It's amazing.
So beautiful.
It's like a quilt, which I know you're into. I have an insider on that.
Again, another
That's
podcast,
a whole other podcast
for another time.
Quilting with the Schermeisters.
If you would like to fall asleep, join us for
quilting away.
Having trouble sleeping, insomnia.
And then November 19th, we have the lighting of the Sonoma Plaza. And this is in Sonoma proper. It's on Saturday, November 19th, and it kind of kicks off the whole season. So just as you guys are opening, which is typically the off season here, November through April.
Yes.
But this kicks off our holiday season, the first Saturday before Thanksgiving, Saturday, November 19th, lighting of the Sonoma Plaza. So
and that is awesome. It's so beautiful.
It's
magical.
It's fun. They were putting the lights up this week. So.
Yay, I'm excited.
Okay, are you ready for We Get Questions?
I'm ready.
Okay, you got to answer questions that we get at the visitor center. And then this is kind of like how we wrap things up. So you ready?
This is the third time I will be apologizing to Sonoma.
We get questions. Ready?
Ready.
This one was just this morning. Are there any old, spooky, deserted houses in Sonoma Valley? Because people are thinking of Halloween, I think. So
if they are
spooky, deserted houses.
Spooky, deserted houses.
Or places.
Okay. Any spooky, deserted house in Sonoma is already on the market. If it's hit MLS, don't even try to put in an offer because it's already sold.
It's already sold.
And the ghosts just come with it. You're going to have to deal with that yourself. Whole Foods sells sage bundles. So if you want to go in and smudge,
it literally
when you buy your haunted
Why
house.
do they sell sage bundles? That's like the most Northern California thing ever.
I know.
Whole Foods sells sage bundles.
When we bought our house in 2020, I went and I saged it. It was great. So I do know for a fact that Jack London Village is haunted. So if you're...
Okay. So Jack London Village, just to the south of the village of Glen Ellen, is haunted.
Yes.
The old mill is haunted.
The old mill is haunted, and I personally do not know who the ghost is.
I think it's Metallica. It's James Hetfield, and he's in there playing his guitar.
He's not dead yet.
That's what he wants you to think. Yeah.
Who's doing his Botox? Because I want to know.
True. All right, so you have a ghost at the Jack London
We do.
Village.
And it's rumored to be a guy named Charlie who used to operate a business there.
Okay.
I don't know his last name, but his name's Charlie.
Charlie the ghost.
Charlie the ghost. And I have a sensor light in my office.
I don't know what that is.
So a sensor light is when you walk in the room, it turns on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought this was like a... Okay.
In our back office in the tasting room used to be like the recording booth part of the recording studio. Uh-huh. And then it's also kind of bordered with the back room at Creekside Healing Village, which is also at Jack London Village.
Okay.
And every time, like 9 times out of 10, when I come into the tasting room and I go into my office, the light is on. The light is always on, and I haven't been there, and it only activates when it senses movement. And I can also confirm that we don't have mice. It's not mice. There's no bugs in there. There's no loose ferret.
You think it's Charlie?
I think it's Charlie. Okay. And the Mill, the restaurant, has had some really weird, freaky, extraterrestrial. That's aliens. Extraterrestrial aliens. That's aliens.
Not extracurricular.
Paranormal.
So they've had something going on there.
Actually, that's funny because people in Glen Ellen hate this, but they're sometimes called Glen Aliens.
The Glen Aliens. No, that's on the sign. Slow down for traffic. Slow down. It has the alien.
I don't know how widely loved
the Glen Alien.
I can't.
I'm going to talk to the next Glen Ellen. Okay,
I can't promote
that. So your answer is that Jack London Village can be old and spooky.
Yeah.
And also around the corner, the Sonoma Development Center is an old spooky building. That's kind of, you know.
I would imagine that there's some interesting kind of energy going on there.
Totally.
But to be honest, in our building, nothing negative has ever happened. And we're doing great, and all of the new businesses that have come in have had one version of kind of their own experience with some weird energy and lights flickering and things like that. All of our wiring has been updated too, so it's not freaky.
I love that you're like methodically going through everything. It's not mice. It's not the wiring.
It's not ferrets.
It's not ferrets, because that's the first thing I think of. Ferrets.
I mean, they're around. Okay, otters from the creek.
Okay, yeah, because ferrets, because like poltergeist, like, oh, it's just a ferret. Okay, so here's another one. Another question.
Okay.
This is one we had today. I'm looking for my wife. Where do you think she is? That's a question we get. Where if you're in the Sonoma Visitor Center and someone says, literally, they come in, I'm looking for my wife.
She's in Wildflower. For sure.
Okay, she's shopping.
The boutique.
Yeah, boutique shop. It's a nice one.
I just went there and I picked up a couple shirts and a pair of earrings.
Okay.
And I would say I do. That's my guilty pleasure.
So check Wildflower.
Wildflower. She's definitely in there, and she has taken all of your credit cards.
Okay, and she's having fun there.
She's probably made a stop at Sweet Scoops ice cream.
Oh, good ice cream.
Yeah. So love them. And then you know what? Also, Sign of the Bear for sure.
That's a great it's like a kitchen store, but it has everything you didn't know you needed.
Yes.
Like, of course I need a melon baller. Of course I do.
And I am going to be an at-home cheesemaker.
You are?
No, the wife is. That's her.
The one. She's an at-home cheesemaker.
The wife is saying she goes into Sign of the Bear.
She's like, I'm going to.
And she goes over to the book section. She's just browsing.
Yeah, just there.
No,
I don't need any help. I'm just browsing.
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm just checking it out. And then she sees the book, or she sees the Pasta Granny's book. And she's like, you know what? I've always wanted to learn how to make homemade pasta. Yeah. And now is my time.
This is it. This was a sign.
Yeah, it's
of the bear right here. Sign. Okay, good. So look at Wildflower, Sweet Scoops, or Sign of the Bear.
Totally.
Okay. So if Rob asks me, I'm looking for my wife, I'm like, Rob, I know 3 spots to look.
Rob does actually know to look for me in Sign of the Bear. He actually does know. Yeah.
All right, here's a question we get. Final one. Why do I have to pay for wine tasting? Some people ask us that.
Tim.
And they're like, Laura, I was here 35 years ago and I had some Blue Nun for free. And then, so my question, look at you. Why do they have to pay for wine? I have an answer.
Why didn't we open a bottle of wine earlier? All I have is this. All I have is this non-alcoholic glass of water.
Here's what I tell people. If you why do you have to pay for wine tasting? Because nowadays you're sitting down and you're talking to somebody.
I do want to answer this question.
Oh, go for it.
No, but I mean, you go.
Well, our answer is usually that, one, they're spending significant time with you on an experience.
Yes.
Also, I say, look, if back in the day, toodle-doo, a bachelorette party would roll in and they'd have 10 bachelorettes and they were very excited. And they would kind of like drink all this wine and do whatever, and they wouldn't buy anything.
Yes.
And it was like you took up all that time from that poor winemaker. So charging a fee was one way to kind of like limit the amount of the woohoo girls that would come in and take up the time.
I would not say in any case that it has limited the bachelorette parties. That has not limited the bachelorette parties.
Okay, so tell me why do they have to pay? Give me your answer.
The finger in the
Exactly.
circle. So I love this question and I love talking about it because I love demystifying all these things that are like too taboo to talk about.
Right.
So the reason why we charge for tasting fees is exactly what you said. We're offering an experience, and especially for us, we're offering an experience with our most knowledgeable person in our entire winery, which is the winemaker.
Right.
And like for us, for instance, we charge $35 for a tasting. And that includes, you're getting probably about 6 ounces of wine, about 1.5 ounce pours. So you are getting wine. But not only that, you are getting an hour to an hour and a half with someone who is an expert in their field.
Right.
Someone who has a wealth of information that you can either take advantage of or not.
Right.
And you're getting someone who is making, from our perspective for what we do, the absolute best that Sonoma Valley has to offer. Super small production, super high quality wines. And yes, you're right. I think back in the day, wine tasting was a whole different ball game. You would just go in, chefs from the valley would go in after work to the wineries and they'd go wine tasting and you could just chat and have fun with your friends and you could kind of just taste here and there, but the intention was always to take home a bottle of your favorite wine.
Correct. They might not. Some people just don't like it, or they're like, I just want to try it.
So the experience of wine tasting has changed.
It has.
So it's changed from going in to taste wines to find a wine you love to take home. Actually, that's still a majority of the people who go wine tasting. It would be unfair to say that that's not the way it is anymore. And those are the people that we really love to host because we're looking for people who are looking for something special.
Right.
They can't find it anywhere else. We're not distributed. We're in one restaurant sometimes. And that's the Mill at Glen Ellen when we have wine. And it's at Jack London Village.
3 storefronts away from you.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't have enough wine to do that. The thing is you're getting the most special thing that you can find in Sonoma Valley when you go to a big winery and learn about production and see how they make their wines and you do the cellar tour and the barrel tour and you get that big kind of expansive understanding of wine. And then you come to the small people, the small wineries like us, where you're getting intimate time with the winemaker. You're getting more information about where your wine is from and how it's made, which is our huge philosophy, full transparency about our vineyards, how we make our wine, the growers that we work with. So people always know not only where the fruit is from, but how we make it.
Right.
And they're also just getting a chance to relax and be in a beautiful place.
Yeah, you're by the creek.
Yeah. So
it's beautiful. It's outside. It might be haunted. It's not ferrets.
It's not ferrets.
It's not ferrets.
And the thing is, you're getting an experience, and if you don't buy wine, we work so hard. We have to charge money for it.
No, and that's again, we say this, and people know this because, you don't go to a bar and sit there and drink for free.
No, you don't.
So that expectation of no, and it's most people, 99.9%. Get it, and they know that because you're right. When I go to Schermeister Winery, there's Rob, there's you, there's the dog,
and that's it. It's just us.
There's the stuffed turkey vulture.
Yeah. If one of us is sick, we will have our friend Wes come in and help us pour sometimes, who's amazing. But that's like once in a blue moon.
Right.
Yeah. When you come in, you get to be with the owners.
It's right there. It's the experience.
Yeah.
Which this has been fantastic. It's been an hour. An hour has gone by. Yeah. So that's amazing. That's amazing.
I can't believe it hasn't been 2 hours at the rate I'm going.
here's my question. If people want more information about Schermeister Winery and they want to find out how to book a tasting or how to get to you, what's the best way to get information about your winery?
The best way to find us is on our website, of course, Schermeister.com. It's SCHERMEISTER.com. If you want to book a tasting with us, you can. We're projected to be open for about 6 months. Okay. So November 3rd is our reopening. We'll probably be open through May. And you can find us on Open Table.
Oh, good. So on Open Table, you can
search us on Open Table.
Oh, great. That's good. That's a good hack. People don't know that.
Yeah, we're taking groups of up to 6 people indefinitely.
Okay.
The one thing we request is all pets have to stay outside.
Got it.
But we're pet friendly. If you want to sit on our patio, bring them.
Just don't bring a brisket.
Don't bring a brisket. Right. Thank you, Tim, for that additional note. We're also family friendly. Some wineries don't allow kids, but we're super happy to have them as long as they're well behaved.
Yep.
We ask that they don't run around unattended. We don't allow outside food, but you can have an awesome meal at Yeti or the Mill before or after your tasting.
Great.
And lastly, just bring yourself and have a really good time. And you can book online, inside or outside. Winter is an awesome time to visit the valley because it is quieter.
And the creek is running.
The creek still has water in it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Runs all the time. So.
And it's a great time to visit the valley, and you're going to get more intimate time with whoever is hosting you. We're also happy to refer you to some other wineries for your stay.
Okay.
We can kind of refer people to our favorites. And we're just super excited to be open and up and running again.
Love it.
Yay.
Well, hey, Laura, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing all these labels and things like that. I'd like to remind people, if you want more information about Schermeister Winery and all the fabulous wineries and things to do in Sonoma Valley, go to sonomavalley.com. Remember, tell all your friends to subscribe to this podcast. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.